I'm here with Kaustav. Thanks for speaking to us today. What experience do you have that makes you qualified to be president of the Students' Union?
Alright, so I am already Student Staff Liaison Committee member and representative for the PICE, and partly I do the same kind of, execute the same responsibilities for the Politics, Big Data and Quantitative Methods department as well. I think my year so far has been marked by a lot of interaction with the Warwick SU and interactions that I have felt where I was felt heavily underrepresented at. And my achievements in these kind of interactions was the fact that I could bring up the issues that I wanted, that the postgraduate community wanted, and I have been successful mostly not only in interactions with administrations and to convince the faculties, but to an extent the SU as well. I have been the leader of finance forum in the university I was before, where I was doing my business studies, and I think all these have built in so many skills and capabilities in me to lead an organization like SU. Yeah.
And throughout your time at Warwick, you have been involved in the Students' Union, but not everyone in the Warwick community is. What's your approach to ensuring that all members of the Warwick community get involved with the SU?
Oh, excellent question. I think the way I'm looking to address this is just the way I'm running my campaign. My campaign is run on the very central agenda that decision making at the SU needs to be less centralized. So I'm talking about establishing a student parliament. I've spoken about bylaws, bylaws 2 to 4, which talks about membership, representation, and decision making within the SU, which is pretty much restricted within the student council as of now. But I'm looking, when I talk about student parliament, I'm looking for appointing more associated members, relaxing the voting rights in terms of a more pluralistic based voting system, and also the fact that these increased number of associated members that will collaborate with SU, they will have increased decision making powers in terms of more autonomous permissions. You can get speakers without asking for permissions from the SU, subject to audit. So it's the entire structure of decision making within SU that I'm looking to change, making it more autonomous so that you don't have to come to SU every time for things to get done.
So really it's a complete overhaul. Is that achievable?
Absolutely. So that's the idea. I mean, because this is the reason I'm running for president, because President and Democracy and Development Officer are the lead interpreters for these bylaws. When I talk about bylaws 2 to 4 or even bylaw 7, which has everything to do with representation, decision making, and members within the student council, the president is the head of the meetings. The president also as you know, the voting system comes much later on. It's a mandated meetings procedure, 5 meetings a year, an annual student vote. These are mandatory, but no one really engages with them the way they should be doing. So the overhaul is really talking about things being done in an autonomous way, and the president and the Democracy and Development Officer come together, can achieve this in a very short span.
And tell me what you think the biggest issue facing students at Warwick is.
Alright, so personally I would say the reason why we are here is to study, and the way we engage with academics beyond our classrooms is the fact that there's a lot of, at least at my level, at the postgrad level, there's a lot of independent research, independent study involved, and we simply do not have enough study spaces, we simply do not have enough relaxation spaces, and obviously this is something the university has failed to provision for, and that is one of the key issues that I will be looking to address, because you see there's this topic of underutilization as well. There are so many rooms vacant, but no one really knows how to manage how to manage them or how to utilize them for. So this is what I'm trying to address through my campaign as well. One of my agendas talk about provisioning for relaxation spaces and study spaces.
And you talk about study spaces. How will you tackle the study space crisis?
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. I personally have been to buildings which have this kind of how do I say, perceptions that because they're old, the spaces are not usable. So it's entirely underutilized. When you go to social science or humanities, these buildings may be old, but there are so many spaces that you can effectively utilize and open up to the booking system, and you can really provision for the existing infrastructure. The existing facility is there. It's just that the lack of initiative and the lack of management kind of adds to the problems of lack of study space, because when we think of study spaces, we just think of learning grids and or the library. I mean, there are spaces beyond that. We don't need to create buildings as such. We just need to effectively manage them.
And mental health provision has been a real key theme across presidential candidates. How are you planning to improve this?
The one point after building or kind of changing the structure, so to say, as you said, overhaul. I don't really think it's an overhaul. It's just the fact that the restructuring of decision making is what I'm focusing on. But after that, the key issue that I'm trying to tackle here is the mental health through capacity building. That's one of my key agendas in my manifesto. And when I say capacity building, I mean we have the SU Advice Center, which talks about accommodation advice and well-being advice and all kinds of student support services. I know it's really fund intensive, but I think they are doing an excellent job, and I think more funds need to be reallocated to them. There needs to be more provisioning in terms of funding, and well-being services and well-being support services can be extended beyond the advice center with the outreach of SU and the funds going into that sector.
And student officers played a very important role in the recent disciplinary cases against the boys involved in the group chat. What would your stance have been?
Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, when you go out and interact with the students, and this is the thing about representation of student interests that I'm talking about, it's just very clear that the issues were, I would say, taken out of context, in the sense that I'm totally in support of the fact that these students should not be returning to campus, and obviously the relaxation in terms of, oh, you served a 1-year ban, there's no need to, you have suffered enough, come back together. It just doesn't make sense. But to sensationalize this issue and to kind of mark everyone in the same color, that oh, we need to be administrating what kind of information is played out in the group chats or something that the SU needs to get involved into, I think is a very wrong approach. This goes against the idea of freedom of speech. So it's a good thing that we protested at the mass level, and this is not just the SU. We should not take credit. The entire independent student body came together and protested, and it was taken up in the national media as well. These kind of mobilization efforts actually affected the administration reversing the decision. But the SU, to say that the SU will have to do something to kind of supervise and control how information is carried across the groups or anything, is just not appropriate.
But what would have your stance have been? What would you have done?
Oh, as I said, I mean, if I was the SU president at the point this was happening, I think the right way to go about it is mobilize the protest and kind of lead it and kind of collate the all information that we get from the students and kind of present it to the administration. Because see, it's not just the students here, the faculties were involved as well. I remember from my department, when we were having an SSLC meeting at the same time, and the professors were pretty strongly against it. And they were like, okay, even we are talking about it, and let's not muddle things here. It's just we are strongly against it. And of course I was against it. I was in the SSLC meeting discussing all these things, and I mean, in a way I did play a part to say that I stand against it, but of course, because I was not an institutional voice at that time, I could not really go ahead and say, you need to do these things, which I probably can do now, being the president.
And finally then, tell me what your biggest achievement has been during your time at Warwick.
During my time at Warwick, I would say being an SSLC member. As I said, it's an interdisciplinary. So the way, as you probably know, SSLC representative works is you work for a department to improve the academic curriculum and the way teaching is conducted and what. But my catch was I was appointed within the Big Data and Quantitative Methods division, and so I kind of liaison for PICE and quantitative methods. And this is the biggest achievement that I would say is I kind of got people interested from PICE to take up modules in quantitative methods in term 2. So I think when we talk about achievement, it's just not about talking about ideas, it's about executing them. So the way I kind of motivated individuals to actually get involved with the kind of modules, because I think this is going to help them in their research, in the careers going forward. I think that's what matters. That is what impact is all about, and that is what I've done.
Kaustav, thank you very much.
Thanks so much.